Good morning. I was there in 1990. I was already there at the Environment Administration, and in 1990, the topic of energy was not actually a topic for a city. In 2000, neither. Brussels wasn't interested in energy questions, and we had to wait all the way up to 2004. 2004 was the first year energy got some interest. And why? Well, for the reason that we had a new government. And this new government was made up of an ecological minister, a green minister, who said energy is important. Only in 2004, and there had never been a history of energy in Brussels. So the political discussions that were presiding over the agenda of the majority wasn't made up of any energy ambition. And maybe that was a good thing, actually. That means we could start working in the shadow without knowing what to expect. But we were convinced of one thing. In 2004, we were already sure that energy prices would rocket, that climate change was a reality, and whatever we did at that time on a building would have an impact on 2040, 2050. When you refurbish or build a building, you don't change it before 50 to 60 years. We were convinced about this, but technically we weren't aware of what was possible. At the time, we were rather thinking of the best practices, for example, do better than what the market is traditionally doing. And therefore, we had hopes of reducing energy consumption by about 30%. That was the vision that we had at the time. And very early, we launched some initiatives in order to figure out what was possible to do. We worked on households' behaviors, how can we put households into a proper management of their energy consumption, the management of building energy consumption for big real estate owners, private but also public mainly. And we set up facilitation systems, which means free services that are given to anyone who has questions about energy, citizens, companies, public services, and so on, because energy is still a very technical, complex question. 1 kilowatt per hour still doesn't mean anything. It depends on the background. It depends on the other figures. When you hear real estate promoters talking about kilowatt per hour, you don't know what calculation they've made, so it doesn't mean anything. Therefore, we set up some facilitation systems and launched wide-scale experiences, not small experiences without much budget. Now, we're talking here about large, big experiences. We're talking about challenges on 200 households. We went up to 3,000 households, and now we're talking about 15 cities, 7 hospitals, the whole network of schools, and also the social sector. About 20% of the whole real estate fleet covered by this project. So in 2006, I went to visit Freiburg for questions on the integration of solar panels. Freiburg is well known, first and foremost, about its political role in photothermic and photovoltaic energy systems. And this is what we visited. The German concept, seen from Belgium as a technological concept, can be good for Germany, but in Belgium we live in a different world. But in fact, it's just a little bit better than what you normally do. It's insulating, ventilating, covering, protecting from shadow, using solar gains, fewer boilers, more ventilation, and so on. So at the end of the day, it looks quite simple. And in 2006, 2007, I don't know whether you remember, but we had the first big disasters in terms of climate. Katrina striking the Gulf of Mexico. We have the Stern report. We have An Inconvenient Truth from Al Gore, the movie. And increasingly, we are seeing an awareness raising. So 2007 was really a turning point. We realized that mentalities were changing. And when I came back from Freiburg, I managed to convince the minister, telling her, look, we really need to change. We need to send a call for tenders, because I think the market can do much better than what it's doing at the moment. And the model call for tender that you will hear about from Thibault a bit later on is a project where we didn't define what we were expecting. We just said, just do much better. Show us what you're capable of. And we will help you. We will fund you for designing, because doing something different from the usual means a lot of work, a lot of designing work, a lot of information seeking, a lot of new concept search. So a lot of difficulties. There's nothing worse than an old engineer saying, listen, I've been doing this for a long time. And you have to tell him, look, you've been working for 20 years and you've been doing it wrong for 20 years. They're usually the worst resistance. All these architects saying, look, I've been working in urban planning for many, many years. You're not going to teach me how to do my job. Well, these are the worst people. So you had a new generation, really. It's not 50-year-olds. It's not 60-year-olds. You're talking about 30-year-olds here, or at worst 40-year-olds, because here we have a 40-year-old person. So you're rather talking about this generation. People open up to the world and are ready to take up the challenge and go for it. So Thibault will talk to you about it, but in 2012 we literally changed the world. We moved to different techniques, different practices. In 2007, we talked about passive building, but not like the Germans. For us, the Germans are crazy. They're too technical, they're too technological, they're too hard. So we're going to do light passive, small passive. We're going to take the need for heat and airproof systems, but we don't know what primary energy is. It's too complicated for us. Architects, engineers don't know about primary energy. So let's first talk about the need for heat, the airproof quality. This was our first ambition. And within the applied German concept, we had, of course, house appliances and so on. That was too complicated. And in 2007, what was really important and gave us luck was that the method to calculate the energy efficiency of a building, the PBD, in Belgium, we already knew that for very good, beautiful buildings, we were running towards problems because they were made for the year 2000. They were not insulated. So if you go too far in the calculation, you don't take on board the right questions. You're focusing too much on overheating and other questions. So we came to a decision. The model building had to have a PHPP. This was very good because had we worked with the other model, we would have focused too much on overheating, on the lack of watertightness, and it wouldn't have worked. So this was an important point. And a series of elements, we started with Batex. We lost sleep over this. We thought we would never get any answers over this. But in fact, in the first year, we were extremely successful. At the same time, we launched a new energy subsidy in order to, energy bonus, in order to make the Batex more democratic, to make it available to everyone. There was another bonus for new bonuses, for refurbishments, and we worked on low energy. Here, 15 is passive, 30 is excellent, and 60 is top. So Batex is not just about energy. Batex is about more than just energy, and Thibault will tell you about this. There is also the sustainable aspect of the building. So it worked, and in 2008 we get the first results, a very strong involvement of the public sector. In all cities you have a lot of refurbishment programs of the city that are really taking advantage of this system. And they take advantage of what the Batex, the exemplary building, can do for them. Sorry, wrong slide. So 2009, what happened? This PATEX in 2007, 2008, and then 2009. All the projects came from the public sector on non-business sector. The next year, new elections, new government, the same minister, and now we have a clear vision in 2012. We know what we want to do. We know what the market's capable of. We haven't imposed anything on the market, but the market showed us what it was capable of. So in 2009, if you compare 2004 and 2009, in the past, on 100 pages, you had half a page on energy, on the government agenda. Now you have 5 pages on energy with very precise objectives. And we decided to continue with our experiences on the field. And as of 2010, all of public investments into real estate have to be passive and have to be for